What's up, everybody? John from Pause Games here, and today we're going to do an interesting kind of comparison video. We're going to be looking at two major game streaming platforms, Google Stadia and Amazon Luna. Now, we're going to break these two services down on a couple of different points. First up, affordability. What's the actual price point you're going to be paying for the services themselves, for games, if necessary, for game add-ons, all that kind of stuff. The second element we're going to look at here is ease of access. If any average person were to jump into either Amazon Luna or Google Stadia right now, how easy is it to get started? And the third point, and maybe the most important element of all, is performance. How do these two services perform with average internet? You know, we're not blazing speeds here. We're going to test the average internet service provider. We'll test our speeds. We'll play the same game on both platforms. And we're going to see how they stack up. So let's get started. So first of all, let's talk about affordability. Now, here we have Google Stadia's homepage, and it is offering Stadia Pro for free for 1 month. And then after that, it becomes $9.99 plus any kind of applicable taxes per month. Now, it's also important to note what all Google Stadia Pro comes with. The Ultimate membership comes with a handful of free games you can claim. Not all games are included with this. This is important. Not all games that are available to play on Stadia come free with your $9.99 per month subscription fee. Now, it does offer new games that you can claim for free with Pro each month, but again, it's still not all of them. As it does say right here, members do get a discount on purchasing games on the Google Stadia platform, but that kind of comes into a pet peeve of mine. If you buy a game on, say, a console, it's a little bit more concrete. If you buy a physical copy of the game, it's even more concrete. With Google Stadia or a service like it, it didn't do quite as well as people expected it to do at launch. It's still kind of lukewarm, being adopted by different levels of gamers. And with that said, if a service like Google Stadia goes by the wayside, well, guess what? Every game you just purchased is completely gone. And I think that's my biggest problem with Google Stadia. Now, if it was just a subscription service and all of these games came along with the subscription service, you stop paying for the service goes under, whatever, and therefore the games are no longer available, well, then you're paying for the service and that makes sense. But if you're paying $10 a month and you buy a $70 game and the service goes under, the service no longer is in operation, well, guess what? All of that money, not just your subscription service fee, but all of the money you sank into a full, complex, diverse game library is also just down in the crapper, essentially, right? So that's my biggest pet peeve, I think, with Google Stadia Pro at the moment. The price point, $9.99 a month, is not bad, and it comes with 4K streaming, or not streaming, but gameplay. But with that being said, anybody can play Google Stadia. You can buy games on Google Stadia and just not have a Pro account. You just pay the regular face value for the games, and you play them with any old controller, or even with a Stadia controller if you choose to purchase one, but you just don't pay for the Stadia Pro, and there are some limitations then, including 4K. You can't play Google Stadia 4K without having a Pro account. So keep that in mind if you're buying a brand new game for $70 on Google Stadia. I don't believe at this time you can play it at full potential unless you have a Stadia Pro account. So now let's jump over to Amazon Luna. And Amazon Luna is not quite as pretty looking of a website and as a platform. It is literally built into Amazon's website. So you know, you can buy your everything off of Amazon while playing the latest game on Luna. As you can see here, Luna is new, and in order to get access to it, you have to request early access. I mean, I got on, so I can't imagine anybody would have an issue getting early access, but Keep in mind that it has technically not officially launched yet to my knowledge. So we scroll down the website here, and as you could see down here, so you have two different pricing options for Luna as well. Luna Plus, which you can get early access price of $5.99 a month, a little bit over half of what Google Stadia Pro costs. So it is definitely cheaper than Google Stadia Pro at this time. You have a wide array of compatible devices, including PC, Mac, Fire TV, and web apps for iPhone, iPad, and select Android devices. You can stream games on up to 2 devices at a time at this time. Right now, Luna Plus does only grant you up to 60 FPS at 1080p, but it does advertise that 4K is coming soon, presumably to the base Luna Plus model. And then I think one of the biggest differences, as I mentioned already when talking about Google Stadia Pro, is that while Google Stadia Pro comes with some games and you have to buy the rest, Luna Plus actually includes all of the games, similar to like the Xbox Game Pass and services like that. Then you can also go with the Ubisoft Plus option, which is $14.99 per month. That's the beta price. So keep in mind the early access price for Luna Plus and the beta price for Ubisoft Plus. Both of those are very, very likely to go up, I assume, once they officially launch. I don't know if early access and beta members will be grandfathered in at these prices or what the situation will be. Probably not, but, we'll see. And basically, Ubisoft Plus offers you a growing library of specifically Ubisoft games, I guess, Assassin's Creed, Immortals, Watch Dogs, etc. It looks like the rest of the specs are pretty much the same as Luna Plus, including 1080p at 60 FPS, 4K coming soon. It looks like it's kind of piggybacking off of the Luna Plus platform. All the same devices, it looks like, but you can only stream on one device at a time as opposed to Luna Plus's 2 devices at a time. So those are the 2 different options, and I can only imagine that you can actually select both of them if you wanted to and pay a little bit over $20 a month right now for both Luna Plus and Ubisoft Plus to have the maximum library available. But that's a pretty steep price point in comparison to things like Xbox Game Pass. So with all that said, I'm going to have to give the first point when it comes to affordability to Amazon's Luna Plus. Like I said, early access pricing right now is only $5.99 a month. That price will likely go up, even if it does eventually, after the early access pricing goes away, bump up to about $9.99 a month or even a little bit more. Google Stadia Pro is currently asking $9.99 a month, and it doesn't come built in with nearly as many games as Luna Plus does. So like I said, as far as affordability goes, the first point goes to Amazon with the Luna Plus membership. So here we are in Google Stadia in browser. I'm running this on Google Chrome, not the Stadia Pro controller that I actually do have, but instead I'm using an old wired Xbox 360 controller. So all I did was literally just connect my controller via USB cable. I went on Steam, made sure all the proper drivers were connected and were installed, such as Xbox 360 configurations or Xbox controller configurations. All of the Xbox configurations, just install all of that if you're using an Xbox 360 wired controller for this. And then I literally just booted up Metro Exodus. It recognized it, a little ping came up and it said linked controller. And as you can see, controller is connected here. So let's jump back over to Amazon Luna now and see how easy it is to set that up. So here in my settings on Amazon Luna, it says that there are no controllers. So we're going to do exactly what we did with Google Stadia and see if that automatically adds the controller. Literally all I did with Stadia was boot up the game and it was bing, it was linked. So we're going to try the exact same thing here on Luna and see if it's that easy to connect. Let me boot this up and see if it works. Your controller is now ready for gameplay. Bada bing, bada boom. So to me, it is a little bit strange that you can't come into your settings and manually add a controller in either of these platforms. For all intents and purposes, all you have to do is load up a game and you'll see a little thing come up on both of them that says, bink, your controller is connected and you're ready to roll. Now, if you're using a wireless controller or even a Stadia, a Luna controller, respectively, on their own platforms, I imagine that process is probably a little bit different, but for somebody who's just using a wired controller such as me, both of them are pretty much equally simple, I would say. And as you can see here in the Luna settings, Xbox wireless controller is added here now too. All it takes is loading up that game for the first time, and your controller will be recognized by the platform. So when it comes down to ease of access, setting up a controller on both of these platforms it's pretty much identical between the two platforms, so it's hard to really give the point one way or the other in that regard. But I will say that I think overall, aesthetically speaking, I think Google Stadia takes the point on this one. It's just a little bit nicer, a little bit more user-friendly. Your library looks nicer. It's not literally built into Amazon. I think that's kind of ugly. So the last thing to do is test the performance of these things. So before we proceed, we're going to jump over here to Google and run a real quick internet speed test, just to make sure we are running at okay speeds. Again, these speeds are designed to be of average quality, so we're looking like we're right now around the 24, 25 megabits per second download speed. As for upload, we're looking around 7, almost 8 here. So not blazing fast speeds by any stretch of the imagination, but fast enough, average enough, that it should be able to give us some good results. Hopefully with both of these platforms. We're going to start off with Google Stadia and see how this performs. Let's dive into it. So again, the game that we're going to be playing between both of these platforms is Metro Exodus. My mouse is here, but the second I interact with, my controller, it automatically goes away. So right now, it's looking good. Keep in mind that Google Stadia is actually the only, while I'm not recording or playing in that, Google Stadia is the only platform of the two at this time, pre-Luna launch, I'll say, that is equipped to play the games in 4K. So keep that in mind. Right now, we're looking pretty smooth. Cutscenes have a little tiny bit of lag. A little bit glitchy, but nothing major. This game has a real cinematic opening here, and so far Google Stadia is absolutely handling it flawlessly. I can't imagine it running better. And there's the Metro Exodus title screen in snow. Again, a little bit glitchy, like ever so slightly glitchy, but nothing major. But obviously, the true test of performance here is going to come down to actual gameplay. So let's start a new game here. So we're just going to jump into some easy gameplay because who cares? I'm not here to test the difficulty of the game. I'm here to test the performance of the game on these different platforms. So here's another opening cutscene. Again, playing pretty fluidly. I don't see any kind of glitches or lag at all in this. It's a pretty seamless experience. And again, the beauty of these platforms is that there's no downloading required whatsoever. This is literally streaming right out of my my Google Chrome browser. So, So I'm going to skip through this. It looks really good. And I do plan on playing this game in a full Let's Play form here on the channel a little bit later, so I'm not going to spoil any of the storyline for me. I'm just trying to get in and test the experience. Again, I don't see any kind of lag, any kind of, anything. A little bit of a glitch there. So it does glitch ever so slightly every once in a while here and there, but nothing that's wildly distracting. But the real test will be the actual gameplay, and here we go getting into that here. Alright, so we're climbing down. So for the opening cutscenes there, I did have audio disabled just because I wasn't super worried about it. But now that we're into the gameplay, I did want to turn that up. Just aiming around a little bit here. It does feel like there's a little bit of lag, but not astronomically. I don't want to waste all my ammo. I just did. Wasted literally all of my ammo. I had 2 shots on me, and I blew it. So it doesn't feel quite as smooth of an experience as if I were playing it on a console. It's not terrible, but it does feel a little bit clunky. Alright. Yeah, so not a lot of lag, but it isn't a perfectly smooth ride either. Holy crap, what was that? Oh my god, what is on me? There's a spider on me. Okay. I do not like this game. It's burning away spider webs here. Again, it's burning spiders. Oh, Jesus. So I just want to go on record and say I do actually suffer from arachnophobia, so this game is not friendly for me. Although burning them all with fire is pretty satisfying. They're all dying, right? They're all going bye-bye when I light them on fire? Okay. Alright, so being assaulted. So intense combat scenes like that wasn't too bad. It was just a bunch of button mashing, but the response time didn't feel too bad when I pulled the trigger. I think the walking currently feels the clunkiest. The walking and the aiming, it does feel like there's a tiny bit of lag to it. Did I get it? Okay, good. But the actual shooting doesn't feel bad at all. Oh, Jesus. How many of these things are there? Alright, into the next room here. So all in all, just playing through the first level here and going through all these cutscenes and everything, pretty much seamless, pretty much flawless. I can't complain about any element of it. The walking functionality kind of felt a little bit clunky. That might just be the game, though, because when I went to pull a trigger, it always seemed, the response time seemed really, really quick. But aside from that, there hasn't been a lot of lag or any kind of glitching all that much, nothing that stands out. It is a pretty fluid gaming experience. So this is where we'll leave off here, and then we're going to jump over to Luna and see how Luna performs under the exact same circumstances. So this seems to be the trend on both these platforms. They ask you a little survey after each gameplay, asking how your experience was in order to improve it. So I'm going to say that experience was, I'm going to say pretty good. I'm not going to say excellent. I think it was a little bit clunky at times, but overall I think it was a good experience. Alright, so here we go. Everything is set up. We're going to launch the same game, Metro Exodus, here on Luna. Right out of the gate, we have like an advertisement down there, it looked like, but different loading screen here. Let's see how this performs. Now for this one, I am going to leave the audio on, I believe. Ooh, right out of the gate, not looking too good. Very laggy, very glitchy. I'm going to leave the audio on for this opening cutscene because I think it's going to be not so good. Okay, so far, significantly more glitches, I'll call them, lags, I'll call them, in the opening cutscenes than we saw with Google Stadia, but all in all, not terrible, especially for an early access platform. So for this one, it's saying network issue detected for Luna. Now again, these are the exact same specifications that we just used, the exact same internet signal that we just used with Google Stadia mere minutes ago. So not sure what it's detecting there. It's still saying network issue detected. I'm not sure if that's implying that it's on my end or if it's on Luna's end. But there's definitely significantly more lag and glitching effects happening during that opening cutscene. The most important thing is let's get into the gameplay here. So we're going to jump into a new game here. Going to do the exact same thing. Easy. So far, this seems pretty fluid. The response time is very, very clean. It was just that opening cutscene that kind of saw some not so good network issues. So another cutscene here looks a little bit better, still a little bit choppy. Not perfect, I wouldn't say, by any stretch of the imagination. Some significant lag, the same as we saw before. Loading in, boom, network issues detected. Just being riddled with network issues being detected. So I'm not here to say that it's unplayable just yet, but it's definitely looking not so good. It's definitely paling in comparison to Google Stadia's offerings so far. But we're still gonna play through this first level and see what it plays like. Oof. Yeah, we're just getting pings of network issue detected constantly. So right out of the gate here, it does feel pretty laggy. As far as controls go, there's definitely a little bit of lag. We're going to get into, some shooting then, obviously, and kind of test the wares there. Aiming down sights doesn't feel too bad. I think the walking actually does feel a little bit less clunky here on Luna. If that even makes sense. I don't know how or why that would make sense. The sensitivity feels higher. I think that might be what it is. Which is both good and bad depending on the situation. There's definitely lag, though, and connection issues. So after... Oh my god, the freaking spiders again. I'm gonna look away. I can't look. My arachnophobia is not enjoying this at all. Burn it all. Let it all burn. So yeah, definitely, I'd say both of them have their faults. And there's definitely a little bit of clunkiness here. But I think the most important part is gonna come when we start firing off some rounds. And just kind of see the response time on that. So let's light all these cobwebs up and get us over here. Alright. So just button mashing the X button, same kind of situation as before. Again, not a lot of lag on the actual gunshot. Ooh, some serious lag there though, and it missed. Okay. So let me reload my gun quick. Some serious network issues. That's the biggest downfall of Luna so far. Have been like just lag, connection issues, sound lag. I pull the trigger and I hear it after the animation plays. So, you know, the sync between action and, visuals and audio are not there entirely. The walking does feel a little bit less clunky, I think, in this, though. But the walking isn't the most important part when you're being mauled, right? So not totally unplayable. It's not totally unplayable, but Google Stadia definitely has the better network, it seems, at this point. So that was the first level on Amazon Luna. And again, we got this same kind of survey at the end of the session. Like I mentioned before with Google Stadia, asking the same question, help us improve Luna, how would you rate your gameplay session? Now, I can't say it was bad and it was unplayable. I really can't say it was poor or barely playable either. Reasonable, I would say. A few issues. I would say reasonable is the way to go. Some choppy video, lag, slow input response. Input was working correctly. No problems with the game. Maybe some mild audio issues, but it was mostly just like the lag. And just to confirm one more time, we're going to run another internet speed test to confirm that, you know, at the end of the test, it's running just as fast, if not faster, than at the beginning of the test. So with that being said, when it comes down to overall performance, chalk that up for another point for Google Stadia. Now, bear in mind, this point might flip-flop in the future because Amazon Luna is still in early access mode. So it's still in testing. It's not necessarily the service you're going to get when it actually launches officially for probably a little bit of a higher price point. While Amazon Luna does have the affordability aspect going for it, you get an entire library of games with your subscription price, and at the moment the subscription price for the early access of the platform is cheaper than Google Stadia Pro. When it comes down to ease of access and accessibility, Google Stadia has a slight upper hand on that. It's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, a little bit more user-friendly. It's not built into the side of Amazon's shopping website. And perhaps the most important element of it all when it came down to performance, Google Stadia did have the competitive edge, a noticeable competitive edge. For Amazon Luna, it came down to a lot of, relatively speaking, a lot of lag in comparison to Google Stadia. Choppy video playback for the cutscenes. The audio wasn't quite syncing up with the action on screen. Gunshots, you heard them long after you saw them occur. So as of right now, my final verdict is Google Stadia 2, Amazon Luna, Early Access 1. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more Metro Exodus here on the channel in the future, as well as more Google Stadia gameplay, and quite possibly more Amazon Luna gameplay in the near future, make sure to subscribe to the channel here at Pause Games, and ring that bell for notifications for when I do live streams here on the channel in the future, as well as when I upload and premiere new video content such as this. Smash the like button on this video for me, and leave me a comment in the comment section below. This and every video produced and uploaded to the Pause Games YouTube channel is in order to raise awareness and funds for cystic fibrosis research. So if you want to learn more about the project and what we're doing to raise awareness and funds for cystic fibrosis research, jump on over to our official website at pause.tv. That is POZZ.tv. But until next time, I'm John from Pause Games, also known as the Nintendo Beast here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching.